All right, let's keep in mind that lesson 5 that we're doing right here is we're working on inverses and identities. And this first exercise right here is still kind of working on the last stuff, so it's a good review, right? We're still working on opposites. So write the sum. Write an equivalent expression by collecting like terms, removing parentheses whenever possible. Notice the sum here, that's plus sign. Wherever we see the word and, we're putting a plus sign. And as you're going to see in another few examples, that's where we'll put the minus sign if it says like different. Okay, so we're adding negative 4 plus 4b plus 4. This is a really good opportunity to review some of the stuff we've done in the previous lessons when it comes to like terms. Terms, remember, the parts of expression being added together. Like terms have identical variable parts. Identical, meaning they don't just have variables. They have the exact same variable, or they don't have a variable. All right. So if I focus on my variable, I have a 4b right here. That's the only b I have. So my 4b, we just put it right there. But now notice I have a negative 4 and a positive 4. I can combine those. They're like terms because they don't have variables. Well, what's negative 4 plus positive 4? 0. Okay, in fact, we don't even need that 0. The solution is just 4b. Okay? And again, guys, pay attention. This is the stuff that's going to be on your homework. All right, so we put a plus sign here, right? Sorry, I kind of went over that 1, but this is really 3x plus 1 minus 3x. And my advice to you is to change subtraction to addition. 3x plus, don't do anything with that. We want plus. Keep the 1, change the minus to a plus, change 3x to its opposite, negative 3x. So now, if I'm looking at like terms, if I have 3x's and a negative 3x's, well, that's 0. Think about it. If I have 3x's and I take away 3x's, 0. What else am I left with? A 1. Do I even need that 0 there? No, just 1. All right, so the opposite of 4, opposite of 4x. The opposite of 4x is a negative 4x. And is where we put our plus sign. Negative 5 plus 4x. All right, let's roll with this. Let's look at our x terms. I have a negative 4x's and a positive 4x's. Notice I'm circling them or I'm underlining them so I can identify them easier. Guess what negative 4x and positive 4x are? Opposites. What do they add to? 0. Gone. So I'm left with a negative 5. That's it. Don't overthink it. This is wordy. Why don't we just put a plus sign in instead of the word and? I don't know. Okay. But in real life, you're going to see the word and you're going to know that you need to add. Okay. So when you're doing those problems on homework, make sure you read each part carefully and write it down. Don't do it in your head. All right. So now let's start talking about some reciprocals, right? Some inverses, multiplicative inverses. Let's look at these. Well, if I have 3/4 times 4/3, that's going to equal, well, 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 divided by 12 is 1. If you think of it in terms of cross-reducing, well, 3 has a common factor of 1, 3 has a common factor of 1, 4 has a common factor of 1, 4 has a common factor of 1. That's a whole bunch of 1s that just equal 1. Okay? Same thing here. If I have put a 1 underneath it, because we can do that without changing the problem, 4 over 1 times 1 over 4, that's going to equal 1. 1/9 times 9 over 1, it's going to equal 1. Oh, wait. Negative signs. It must change things up, right? Notice negative times negative is a positive. 1/3 times 3 is 1. Negative times negative is positive. 6/5 times 5/6 is 1. Okay? So when we are doing reciprocals, okay, so if we look at all these, they're all reciprocals. And we know reciprocals or multiplicative inverses multiply together to give you 1. That's kind of the definition. See if I can spell multiplicative. Multiplicative. Okay, multiplicative inverses multiply to give you 1. So now we're going to apply that to these other properties right here. And these are like what you're going to see in your homework. Write the product. Product is the solution to a multiplication problem. Excuse me. Write the expression in standard form by removing parentheses, combining like terms. That's what we've been doing before. But we're not worrying about justifying each step. Okay, take that out. Okay, multiplicative inverse. What is the multiplicative inverse? It's the reciprocal. So we're taking the reciprocal of 1/5, and that's where we're going to multiply. Okay, I'm going to use a dot because I don't want to get confused with x there. So we're taking the reciprocal of 1/5. Okay, so that's 5 over 1. Flip it. That's all the reciprocal means. And so times, and I'm going to go 2x, instead of saying minus 1/5, I'm going to go plus a negative 1/5. Okay. All right. So we have to remove parentheses. Well, this is being multiplied, right? So remember, it's the distributive property. We're going to multiply 2x by 5, because really, that doesn't mean anything. What's 5 times 2x? Plus sign. It's really nice. We change things to addition. We're going to go 5 times a negative 1/5. 5, or 5 over 1, times a negative 1/5. What do you notice about these things right here? They're reciprocals, aren't they? Okay, except for that negative. Okay, but a positive times a negative is going to be a negative. And 5 over 1 times 1 over 5? 1. So this is 10x plus a negative 1. I know that one can seem a little weird, so pay really close attention to this. Take it one step at a time, okay? The multiplicative inverse, and you don't have to write reciprocal on your homework, okay? You don't, okay? Take the reciprocal of 2, okay? That's 1/2. And remember, we're doing products here, times 2x plus 4. And then use your distributive property, because this is multiplying everything in parentheses. These are like, two factors. We were putting things as 2 factors in the last lesson. What's half of 2x? Basically, guys, we're taking half of 2. Half of 2 is 1. So that just gives us 1x. Plus, don't forget, we also have to do half of 4. Well, what's half of 4? 2. Okay? So you can write it as 1x plus 2 or just x plus 2. All right? This is what we have to be careful of. Don't just look at this and say, oh, I'm multiplying 1/5 times 2x minus 1/5, or I'm just multiplying 2 times this. No, multiplicative inverse means reciprocal, so make sure you do that step. All right, just to finish up, okay, again, kind of the same thing we've been doing. Write each product, and then write the expression in standard form. Okay, not justifying. Product means to multiply. The reciprocal of 3. Okay, the reciprocal of 3 is 1/3. And that's where we put our time sign. Negative 6y minus 3. I'm going to write it as plus a negative 3x. Subtracting is the same thing as adding the opposite. Then I'm going to use my distributive property. What is 1/3 of negative 6y? That is just 6 over 3, or I'm sorry, 6 over 3, or 2. So if we take 1/3 of negative 6, and sometimes you have to write it off to the side, sometimes you don't. What is 1/3 of 6? 2. Positive times a negative? Negative. Goodness. Sorry, let me write what I'm saying here. Negative 2, and then you put your y there. Plus sign, don't forget to go 1/3 times a negative 3. And if you haven't noticed, guys, these are working out really easy. What is 1/3 times 3? That's reciprocals there, aren't they? Equals 1. Positive times a negative is going to be negative 1. Okay, so we're just going to get negative 2y plus a negative 1x. Okay, or remember, it's okay if we go negative 2y instead of saying plus negative 1x, we can just say minus x or minus 1x. I don't care. You don't have to write them both ways. Okay, multiplicative inverse. Okay, that's the reciprocal of 4. So that's 1/4. And is where we put our time sign. 4h minus 20 plus a negative 20. Okay, so what's 1/4 of 4? 1/4 of 4. 1. So that's 1h. Okay, plus What's 1/4 of a negative 20? Well, positive times a negative is going to give me a negative. 1/4 of 20 is 5. How do I know that? I'm multiplying it. That's 20 divided by 4, which is 5. Okay? Or you could write this as h minus 5. Okay? You don't have to write them both ways, just one way or the other. Okay? All right, guys, thank you for sticking with me through all of this, okay? Let's just finish up using more of this, getting rid of parentheses. What's 1/3 of 6x? Well, 1/3 of 6, that's basically just going 6 divided by 3. That's 2. Whoa, let me write the right number here. So that's 2x plus what's 1/3 of 12? That's just saying 1/3 times 12 over 1, which is just 12 divided by 3, 4. Okay? It's actually making the problem easier, isn't it? Now, what's 1/5 of r? Ooh, don't panic here. Remember, that's just times 1. So that just stays 1/5 r. Nothing wrong with that. Put your minus sign here, or you can put a plus and negative. 1/5 of 5? Well, that's just 1. Okay? So don't overthink this stuff. We're just really working on reciprocals. We're working on opposites because that's going to lead us into solving equations.